Okay, I'm going to call to order the City Council meeting for February 25th, 2020. First off, I'd like to thank Lucas and Trinity Lou for the prelude music. Awesome, great job, guys. Our invocation tonight will be provided by Pastor Ricardo Velarde of Reliance Church, and that will be followed by our flag salute by the Boy Scout Troop 148. So would you please stand?
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, there is no God in heaven above or on earth below like you. You keep your word. Lord, I pray that you give us your mercy, that you bless our public servants who walk before you with all their hearts. Now keep us, Lord, from all evil. Let your love abide in our hearts. I pray you lead this meeting, keep our community safe, and help us serve one another. In your name we pray. Amen.
All right, Boy Scout Troop, come forward. Yeah, remain standing, please.
If not in uniform, please put your right hand over your heart. If in uniform, please salute. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Two.
Thank you, guys. All right. Madam City Clerk, could I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Edwards.
Here.
Councilmember Nagar.
Here.
Councilmember Ron.
Here.
Councilmember Schwenk.
I'm here.
And Mayor Stewart.
I'm here. All right, so we have one presentation tonight. Our presentation tonight is by Roger Alfaro. Would you please come to the podium? All right, and I believe our finance director, Jennifer Hennessy, will give a introduction.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. I'd like to introduce Roger Alfaro. He is the partner with the certified public accounting firm Eide Bailey. The city contracts with Eide Bailey to conduct the annual financial audit, and he'll be providing a brief narrative describing the comprehensive annual financial report results for fiscal year 18-19.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I'm Roger Alfaro, partner with Eide Bailey. For the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2019, our firm was retained to serve as your independent external financial statement auditor. As your external auditors, our responsibility was to obtain or plan and perform an audit to obtain reasonable rather than absolute assurance as to whether the financial statements were free of material misstatement. The financial statement audit includes consideration of the city's internal control over financial reporting as a basis for designing the audit procedures that we perform on the balances, disclosures, and transactions of the city. But the audit is, our consideration of internal control is solely for planning and designing the audit process, and we do not express any assurance on the internal control or the operating effectiveness of internal control over financial reporting. In the audit process, we gather evidence from inquiries of city staff, verification or confirmation of information with third parties, vouching transactions to supporting documentation on a sample basis, as well as performing analytical procedures. Based on the audit evidence that we gathered for this fiscal year, we have issued an unmodified opinion. This is also referred to as a clean opinion, indicating that the city's financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects. This is the highest level of assurance that the city can achieve in the financial statement audit. Professional standards also require that we accumulate all known and likely misstatements identified during the audit process other than those that we consider to be trivial, and that we communicate them to the appropriate level of management. During this year's audit, no such items were reported. In addition, based on our work, we did not identify any material weaknesses in the internal control over financial reporting as a result of our procedures. We're pleased to report that we did not encounter any significant difficulties in dealing with management or performing or completing our audit fieldwork. We had no disagreements with management regarding financial accounting, auditing, or financial statement matters. City staff were professional, providing us access to individuals within the organization as well as to third parties and the records and documents we needed to be able to complete our fieldwork in a timely manner. We appreciate serving as your external auditors, and that concludes my remarks on this year's audit process. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, again, excellent job, Jennifer. Your team does an amazing job every year, and we win the awards to prove it too, right? So thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so on to public comments. Madam City Clerk, do we have any public comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have 2 public comments. We can go
Alright.
ahead and play the video.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Mike Mooring with the Special Events Team. A total of 30 minutes is provided for members of the public to address the City Council on items that appear within the consent calendar or a matter not listed on the agenda. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. If the speaker chooses to address the City Council on an item listed on the consent calendar or a matter not listed on the agenda, a request to speak form may be filled out and filed with the City Clerk prior to the City Council addressing public comments and the consent calendar. Once the speaker is called to speak, please come forward. For all public hearing or council business items on the agenda, a request to speak form may be filed with the City Clerk prior to the City Council addressing that item. On those items, each speaker is limited to 5 minutes.
All right, first speaker, please.
First speaker is Catherine Sizemore, to be followed by final speaker Electra Damos.
Good evening, City Council members and Mayor Stewart. Tonight, I'm Catherine Sizemore. I have the privilege of attending the City Council meeting with Scouts from Temecula Troop 148. We are chartered by the VFW Post 4089. I'm an Assistant Scoutmaster, and I'm also the District Membership Chair for the Tahquitz Scouting District, which serves Southwest Riverside County. These Scouts have spent the past 8 weeks working on their citizenship in the Community Merit Badge. They have learned what it takes to be a good citizen, and they have learned about their rights and duties and obligations as citizens of our city. They've discovered what our community is known for. They've also learned a little bit about the history of our city. In completing their merit badge, each one of these Scouts will have performed 8 hours of community service at the Temecula Valley Rose Society's Rose Garden off of Jedediah Smith Road. Tonight, they were very fortunate to have had time with Mayor Stewart where they got to discuss with him an issue that concerns them in our community, and that is an issue of distracted driving, especially texting while driving. They had some good ideas, and Mayor Stewart was very kind to listen to their ideas. Serving all youth, both boys and girls, the Boy Scouts of America is thriving in the city of Temecula. In 2019, 867 Temecula youth participated in BSA programs. Temecula is a home to 20 scouting units. That's PACs, troops, police, highway patrol, and medical explorer posts. In 2019, BSA units with Scouts contributed approximately 5,000 community service hours benefiting Temecula organizations and events held in the city. Last year, 44 Temecula Scouts achieved Scouting's highest rank of Eagle Scout. A couple of the projects that our Eagle Scouts performed benefiting the city of Temecula, one of our Scouts constructed a new storage building at the Rosehaven Heritage Garden that benefited their children in the garden program. We had another Scout do an Eagle project where he created standing rocker boards for special needs students at TVUSD schools to help them with their individual learning styles. And we also had another scout who built flag holder stand boxes, one of which is across the way in the conference hall, and another 5 of those is with the VFW here in Temecula. I just wanted to take a moment to thank you guys again, and Mayor Stewart, thank you for spending time with our scouts and helping these boys be prepared to be better citizens and future leaders in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Electra Damos.
Good evening. I'm Electra Demos with Assistance League of Temecula Valley. I'm here tonight to tell you about Operation Shades. For a future so bright, you're going to need shades. Operation Shades is a financial literacy program targeted at at-risk juniors and seniors in the Temecula Valley Unified School District. In the fall of 2019, Assistance League provided this program for the 5th year in each of the 4 high schools in the school district. During this time, a total of 1,123 at-risk students have completed this class, 711 in Temecula District and 412 in the Lake Elsinore District. Shades was developed in 2012 by United Way of the Inland Valleys and funded primarily through a grant from the FINRA Investor Education Foundation through United Way Worldwide. The program details were designed by United Way of the Inland Valleys Financial Vision Council to help increase economic stability in their service areas in Riverside County for the most at-risk population. In 2014, Assistance League responded to a request for proposal and was selected to provide the Shades program and awarded the remaining FINRA grant. Assistance League, with the support of United Way and the help of the Temecula Valley School District, has modified and expanded this program into an on-campus, full-day class. Program volunteers work directly with high school LCAP counselors and identify and register students. Each fall, the conference with a target of 40 students per class is provided to each high school in the district. The day begins with breakfast and a pre-test to establish the level of financial knowledge. The instruction includes segments on goals and budgeting, introduction to banking, credit, identity theft, car costs, job search, and job interview. Class segments are taught by member volunteers and professional community volunteers. Lunch is provided at the end of the day. Lunch is provided at the end of the day, and students get to play a Shades Jeopardy type game to help reinforce their financial knowledge. A completion ceremony finishes up the day, and each student receives a completion certificate, a pair of shades, a "Why Didn't They Teach Me This in School" financial literacy book, and a $25 gift certificate to the Promenade Mall. Wow. Assistance League would like to thank the City of Temecula for their support of Operation Shades and community service funding grants. We would also like to thank the Temecula Valley Unified School District counselors and staff that have supported all of the activities required for the success of a valuable program. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's probably, I'm so glad you guys do that program, because financial literacy is probably the thing that's lacking the most, especially in young people. So definitely. All you young people out there who want to take that, be a great opportunity. So thank you. All right, council comments. Do we have any council reports? Yeah, go, man.
Well, just a quick one, and Councilmember Schwenk can weigh in too, but we held our first ever joint meeting between the Temecula Valley Unified School District and the City Council and the City of Temecula. And so we have two members, myself and Mr. Schwenk, that represent the City of Temecula, and we had two members from the school board. We talked about issues related to vaping in our schools and youth, the opioid crisis, among others. Look, this was, I think, a very meaningful meeting for me and I think all the folks that attended, because it was the first time in the 6 years I've been here where we've had that kind of in-depth conversation and identified a pathway forward for the city to work more closely with the school district in tackling some of those issues that are really fundamentally important to the health and welfare of our community and our youth. So very well received, and Mr. Schwenk, just wanted to thank you for, bringing that concept forward earlier this year, because I think it's been well received.
Ms. Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The city has a way of doing things, or the council has a way of doing things, and one of those practices that fall under our purview is selecting our great commissioners to serve. And they really act as extra hands and feet on the ground for the city council. They meet with residents and discuss important issues. And we've always selected those commissioners by, putting out offered or RFPs, requests for proposals, or ballots. We want them to apply, so there's an application process. And then 2 council members typically were appointed to review those applications and come forward and make a recommendation to the rest of the council. And it's worked for as long as I can remember. But we had a suggestion from, I know it was Councilmember Ron, and I don't know if there's, to do things a different way. And if you watched the meeting last week, the last meeting, you will have seen that we did things a very different way. We brought in every applicant to speak in front of the city council and tell us why they want to serve on a commission. And I was kind of dreading the process because you never know what to expect in situations like that. And I can tell you that I really enjoyed it, number one. I feel like I know all the applicants, number two. So the ones that were not selected, when they reapply, I will remember them from this round. So I just want to commend my colleagues for bringing that forward and say if you watched it, it was a very rewarding part of the council meeting. It was long because we had, 23, 25, 20-something. Yeah, it was long, but it was wonderful. So thank you all.
All right, and I will say something because the Boy Scout troop, they brought up something that is very important since I've got a house full of high schoolers here. Distracted driving, texting especially while driving, is the #1 cause of accident for kids between 16 and 20 years old. So they suggested some sort of a public outreach program. So I'm starting it right now. I'm reaching out to you guys and saying, please don't text and drive. It does cause accidents. So please put your phones away or silence them or something while you're driving.
And tell your friends.
Yeah, you don't want to kill your friends, yes, for sure. All right, so now we're on to the consent calendar. Next, we have the consent calendars. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine, and all will be enacted on one roll call vote. There will be no discussion of these items unless a member of the City Council requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Number 1, waive reading of standard ordinances and resolutions. Number 2, approve action minutes of February 11th, 2020. Number 3, approve list of demands. Number 4, approve financial statements for first quarter ending September 30th, 2019. Number 5, approve design build document and list of pre-qualified bidders and authorize solicitation of design build proposals for the Margarita Rec Center project PW 17-21, which, by the way, is a really cool new facility we're going to be building. So we'll blow this out, and you'll see it. You'll be super excited about this. Number 6, approve term sheet with United States Department of Transportation for French Valley Parkway I-15 Improvement Phase 2, PW 16-01. Number 7, approve joint use agreement with the Rancho California Water District for water facilities located at Temecula Parkway and Old Town Front Street. Number 8, approve memorandum of understanding for Santa Margarita River Estuary Monitoring and Assessment Program. Number 9, approve track map 37341 located at the east of Butterfield Stage Road between Calais Campos and Marietta Hot Springs. Number 10, accept improvements and file the notice of completion for Community Rec Center Pool Site Enhancement and Renovations, PW 18-02. Number 11, receive and file temporary street closures for 2020 Spring Fest events. Can I please have a
Move
motion?
approval.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Please vote. All right, that passes 5-0. I'm going to recess the city council meeting to the scheduled meeting of the Temecula Community Service District and the successor agency to the Temecula Redevelopment Agency and the Temecula Housing Authority and the Temecula Public Financing Authority.
All right, good evening. I will call to order the Temecula Community Services District meeting. Madam Clerk, please note that everyone is still here. Do we have any public comments? Seeing none, we'll dispense with the reading of the rules. We'll move on to the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted with one roll call vote. There will be no discussion of these items unless members of the Temecula Community Services District request specific items be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Item number 12, approve the action minutes of February 11th, 2020. Item 13, approve financial statements for first quarter ended September 30, 2019. And item 14, approve second amendment with Silverman Enterprises, Inc., DBA BAS Security for security services. Can
Move
I get
approval.
a motion? We have a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
I think we might be voting electronically. Nope. There we go. All right, and that carries 5-0. All right. We'll move on to our Director of Community Services report. Do we have a report this evening?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, we do. We have 2 items we'd like to call everyone's attention to this evening. The first one is our monthly Art Off the Walls exhibit. As you know, this is our ever-changing monthly exhibit, which is different every single month. But what makes this one extra special is that this is the annual Temecula Creates student art exhibit. And these are students of all ages of our contract class programming. So everything from very young people to very old people who take our contract classes get the opportunity to exhibit their work once a year. We really enjoy that. That'll be Friday, March 6th from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the Merck and the Lot on Main. And the second item I'd like to bring everyone's attention to is the current exhibit at Temecula Valley Museum, which is just an absolutely gorgeous photographic exhibit called the American Farmer exhibit. And these are very large-scale photographs. I had the opportunity to see it over the weekend. It's really beautiful, stunning, that just depict the many, many faces of rural America throughout the country, all the way to Alaska. It's really worth seeing, and it will be at the museum until March 15th. That concludes my report.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much. General Manners report.
Nothing further tonight, Mr. President.
Board of Directors, anything? Nope. All right, we'll go ahead and adjourn to our next scheduled meeting of March 10th, 2020.
All right, so on to the successor agency to the Temecula Redevelopment Agency. Madam City Clerk, we're still here. Do we have any public comments? All right, so we're to the consent calendar. We now have the consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine, and all will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no discussion of these items unless a member of the successor agency to the redevelopment agency requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Item number 15, approve financial statements for the first quarter ending September 30th, 2019.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please vote. All right, that passes 5-0. Executive Director's Report.
Nothing tonight.
All right. Board of Directors, anybody? All right. So I will adjourn the SARTA meeting, and we will reconvene the Temecula City Council meeting. We have one public hearing today, so I'll read the rules. Any person may submit written comments to the City Council before a public hearing, or may appear and be heard in support or opposition to the approval of the projects at the time of the hearing. If you challenge any of the project in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised at the public hearing or in written correspondence delivered to the city clerk at or prior to the public hearing. Number 16, adopt amendment to the 2019 California Building Code. Can I have a staff report, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you. Before you tonight is an ordinance amending the 2019 Building Code to make mandatory that new pools constructed at single-family homes must include an approved swimming pool fence enclosure. The City of Temecula adopted the 2019 edition of the California Building Codes in December of 2019, and upon the adoption of the Building Code, each local jurisdiction has a period of 180 days to further modify these codes with more stringent local amendments before the state code provisions become applicable. The 2019 Building Code made changes to the Pool Safety Act that made it mandatory that any new pool must include 2 of 7 approved safety measures. Those safety measures include a removable mesh fencing in conjunction with a gate that is self-closing and self-latching and can accommodate a key lockable device, an approved safety pool cover, exit alarms on the private single-family homes, doors that provide direct access to the swimming pool or spa, a self-closing, self-latching device on a private single-family home's doors providing direct access to a pool or spa, an alarm in the pool or spa that will detect accidental or unauthorized entrance to the water, any other means of protection that has been approved by the American Society of Mechanical Engineers or American Society of Testing and Materials, and finally, an approved swimming pool fence enclosure as defined by the Health and Safety Code legislation. Importantly, and very importantly, the 2019 changes to the Pool Safety Act did not include a requirement that all new swimming pool construction include an approved swimming pool fence enclosure as a required safety measure. The city has historically amended each new building code when necessary to ensure that every new swimming pool is required to include an approved swimming pool fence enclosure. The reason the city has historically required swimming pool fence enclosures are difficult to hear but important to know. And that is that according to the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, there are an average of over 3,500 fatal unintentional drownings in the United States every year. That works out to about 10 per day. About 1 in 5 people who die from drowning are children 14 years and younger. In the United States alone, children ages 1 through 4 have the highest drowning rates of all age groups. And for every child who dies from drowning, another 5 receive emergency department care for serious non-fatal submersion injuries that result in lifelong disabilities. It is because of this threat to public health and safety, the building official has determined that in order to more fully protect the community, particularly the safety of children, construction of an approved swimming pool fence enclosure should be a requirement for all new swimming pools built within the city. With that, staff is recommending that the City Council adopt the ordinance as proposed. That concludes my presentation, and I am available for any questions.
All right, do my colleagues have any questions?
Yeah. Yes, Luke, if you can expand just a little bit. Let's say because typical is the alarms by the, let's say, sliding doors or doors that go out into the yard where the pool is. If the yard is enclosed and the gates that enclose the yard are self-closing, does that qualify as a pool enclosure?
Yes, it does. If the yard itself is enclosed by an approved fence enclosure as defined by the Health and Safety Code, and there are self-closing latches on that fence, that That's the two things that you need. You need two of the safety measures. One of them, if the ordinance is approved tonight, would be the first, which is the requirement for the fence itself. And then they get to choose from the other 6. And one of those is self-latching, self-closing gates.
Okay, so in essence, the pool area or the pool deck itself doesn't necessarily have to be fenced in. The yard where the pool is located can be fenced in.
Yeah, there are 2 items that are kind of similar to the same thing. The first would be what we're recommending is that the pool and the yard itself have to be fenced in, but there's another safety measure that's allowable, which is it's a removable mesh fencing. I think you're probably familiar with this. It's like a black mesh fencing that you'll see, but that will be usually just around the pool itself, just around the pool area. You could do both of those and be fine, so long as there is an approved, per the health and safety code, fence that surrounds the pool and or the property itself.
Got it. And you may not have this, but what is an approved fence around a property?
Yeah, it's like I said, it's defined in the health and safety code and it's prescribed there, but I can tell you generally what it means. It's a fence of a minimum of 4 feet in height, with no gaps big enough for a child of 4 years or younger to fit through. Constructed of materials deemed unclimbable to a child of 4 years. The goal here is 4-year-old children and less can't get over or under or around. So examples of allowable materials would be vertically oriented vinyl fencing, wood fencing, or wrought iron. Items that wouldn't be allowed, or methods of constructions that wouldn't be allowed, are split rail fence, chain link, or any material that's horizontally oriented that would allow for climbing.
Luke, as always, thank you for the information, very informative. I move that we introduce the ordinance, and maybe I'm a little premature.
Yeah, we got the public hearing first.
Yes, thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, so let's go ahead and open the public hearing. Madam City Clerk, do we have any public comments?
Mr. Mayor, we do not.
All right, so I will close the public hearing.
And hence my motion to introduce the
And
ordinance.
second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
And I'll read the ordinance. This is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Temecula adopting a mandatory swimming pool safety feature by requiring an approved swimming pool enclosure for certain residential swimming pools and amending Title 15 of the Temecula Municipal Code.
All right, please vote. All right, that passes 5-0. All right, so now I'm going to a joint meeting of the Temecula City Council and the Temecula Community Service District. I will call that to order. Madam City Clerk, we're still here. And we have a consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine, and all will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no discussion of these items unless a member of the City Council requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Item number 17, approve fiscal year 2019-20 mid-year budget adjustments.
I'll move approval.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Please vote. Okay, that passes 5-0. So department reports. It looks like we're receiving file only on that. Commission reports. Do we have any commission reports?
Just briefly, the Temecula Public Traffic and Safety Commission meets this Thursday, 6 o'clock in these chambers. We'll be looking at traffic calming measures for Roar Road and also receiving a report on parking management for Old Town.
Hi. Our last meeting, we were starting the phase, well, we voted on, I'm sure that will be coming to you, on Roy Paw, better known as Roy Paw, but known as Summers Bend. So that's pretty exciting after so many years of that happening. So you'll be seeing that coming to you.
Awesome.
We're pleased to welcome our new commissioner, Chris Kristevsky. We expect to swear him in at the March 10 meeting, to which you were all invited. And I would also like to formally thank you for extending me another 3-year term. I appreciate your confidence. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, public safety report.
Good evening. I'll just run through some stats with you. We handled 7,762 calls for service in the month of January. Our traffic unit wrote 2,442 citations, made 20 DUI arrests, and investigated 81 collisions. Our special teams division made 23 felony arrests, served 8 felony arrest warrants, made 144 misdemeanor arrests, and served 63 misdemeanor arrest warrants. Our investigative bureau was assigned 48 cases, and they closed 59 in the month. The mall stats, they handled 278 calls for service, making 2 felony arrests and 16 misdemeanors. We had a total of 844 volunteer hours this month.
Wow, awesome, thank you. All right, on to manager's report.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just 2 items. You got a lot of students in the audience. When I wrap up, you may want to poll and see who we got here from the respective high schools.
Sure.
And seems to be community service hour time in the semester, though. I just have one item. I have a slide. This is one of the tools that we do have available to us from an emergency management standpoint. And I just want to encourage everyone to consider registering your phone. You can do that through the website at temeculaca.gov/alert. And if you don't live in the city limits, but you are interested in being notified of emergency management or calls, you can utilize City Hall address. We will allow that to occur. And we're going to test this system this Thursday. And so call out citywide is going to happen this Thursday, February 27th at 10 a.m. We've attempted to push this information out through social media. We don't want anyone to be alarmed, but we're testing the system as a whole. And it's actually something very valuable in the event that we need to, or we have evacuations, or we want to utilize this for a special event, planning, and things of that nature. So just kind of wanted to put it out there, encourage folks to register cell phones, landlines, and those sort of things through the city's website.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. City Attorney.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, in closed session this evening, the council agreed to settle the case of Wellens versus City of Temecula. The plaintiff agreed not to pursue the case further to the California Supreme Court, and the city agreed to waive recovery of the city's court costs.
All right, thank you. Okay, so since we're done already, how many Chaparral kids do we have here?
Ooh.
Chap is in the house. How about TV? Whoa, TV's here.
Go Bears.
Wow, any Great Oak? No Great Oak.
They're afraid to put their hand up.
Oh,
There's
one
one.
Great Oak. Anybody from Marietta?
There.
Couple from Marietta, all right. All right, well, you saw how government works. We work fast. All right, we're adjourned.
Tonight, anyway.